I still forgot, even though Michael reminded me. So, oh yes. Now I'm not sure how this is going to work. So now I'm going to try to share to read a little bit more from Liberation. All right. Not sure that worked. Can you see the screen that I'm sharing? Yes, you can. Okay. All right. And so we are going backwards, like Lamazopa suggested. We looked at the the way in which what appears to us, our senses can't always be believed, can't be totally relied on. So just because your guru might appear ordinary to have such and such a thought, you can't be too sure. So this all helps, because the main thing is that there is this ordinary appearance. You can't stop that. There's the ordinary appearance. That's the only way it can be, is that there would be an ordinary appearance. So then, of course, when you're in the habit of believing what appears to you, then you're going to think that your guru must be somebody as ordinary, just like yourself, because of the appearance. So that helps to undermine that kind of fixed idea, must be ordinary because of appearing ordinary. So then the next one, going backwards, is now also the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are helping the sentient beings. Okay, so so you can see where this is going, I think, just from the title even. Now also the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are helping sentient beings. So if the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are helping sentient beings, then where are they helping me? If they're there helping me, where are they? So again, this is, like more or less a summary of the things that I found in Liberation. As I mentioned before, that the way in which Pavanka Techen Yimpo explains how to develop that perception of your guru as an enlightened being is quite unique. You don't find it in other Lamrim teachings. So there are countless Buddhas, and each of them is helping us all the time according to our karma and so on. So so each of them is helping us all the time according to our karma and so on. Because they so why would they help us? Because they know they know we need help. That it's obvious to us, so and it's going to be obvious to them. If they don't know, then what's the point of having an omniscient mind, actually? And they care, so we know they have the compassion. Their affection towards us is greater than a mother for her only child. And they're able to help, so why would they not help? So it's something to think about, So it should be that they're helping because they can and because they want to. They know we need help. So why would they not help? Okay, so another reason, I've got a feeling we might have gone through a little bit of this before, but anyway, some of it is a bit repetitive. but that's mainly because of the way I took my notes. So for eons, they strove for enlightenment just to help us. So, you know, building up for eons and eons and eons, like with the Buddha Shakyamuni, as they say, 3 countless great eons. So then having achieved enlightenment for the sake of us, by thinking of us trying to achieve enlightenment for all that time, why would they not then help us? And then what's the best way to help? So just like in that verse, the Buddhas do not wash away our evil with water. They can't do that. They can't take away your suffering like pulling a thorn out of your hand. They can't transfer their realizations to us. So how they help us is by showing us the way, showing us teaching. That's the main way. I'm sure there are other ways, but mainly teaching. And this is something to think about in relation to this one also. So you suppose you get to the point where you draw the conclusion, you come to the conclusion, okay, so definitely enlightened beings are helping me at the moment, particularly, you know, like Guru Shakyamuni must be helping me now. So which one of the people around me must be Buddha Shakyamuni or the Buddhas helping me? So to say that the one who is helping us most in our life is not an enlightened being, but that the enlightened beings are simply nowhere to be seen or helping us, you know, in a more peripheral way, does that make sense? So it's interesting actually, because this kind of reasoning, it's funny really. It's not exactly logic. It's reasoning in the sense of presenting ways that you can think things over, so that it becomes more and more reasonable to you that, you know, if the Buddhas are helping us, then that it must be as you know, as my teacher, because the one who's helped me the most is my teacher. So, you know, otherwise, would it make sense, as I'm saying here, you know, would it make sense that the one who's helping you the most is not an enlightened being? But I mean, if you assume that that when the enlightened beings are helping us, then the main way is going to be by teaching. So then it would be more like, you know, so which of my teachers is it? If the best way to help is by teaching, then, I mean, of course, you know, hear stories about, you know, the bodhisattvas leading very ordinary lives. Maybe, you know, it could be the bodhisattva could be the one that's serving you in the shop. The bodhisattva could be the one that's, you know, cleaning your car. Could even be a prime minister or president, I suppose. But anyway, yeah, anyway, so just something to think about. Kind of makes sense that if the Buddhas are helping me, then they would be helping by teaching, because that's the best way. So then that means it must be one of my teachers. So then the second one, counting down from 4 to 1. So anyway, you see with that the previous one, the idea is the Buddhas are helping us, so it must be my teacher who is an enlightened being that's helping me. So then the other one is the guru is the agent for all the Buddha's activities. And this kind of seems to me, in fact, I think I've explained it here. Yeah, if all the countless Buddhas were to merge into one and appear in a way in a form that's best for us, for me, in your meditation, your thinking, helping me in the way that suits me the most, it would be exactly as our guru appears and helps us. There's no better way that all of the Buddhas could appear to you than as your guru, and there's no better thing that the gurus, the Buddhas could do for you than teach you just like your guru teaches you. So why would your teacher not be all of the Buddhas appearing in that way to help you? And then the one moon casts its reflection in so many different bodies of water. This comes up in Pavong Rinpoche, but I think this one is more like, so it's getting at the idea that an enlightened being isn't limited to helping just one person. As many bodies of water as there are, the moon's reflection can appear in all of them, and so also all the enlightened beings can appear to each sentient being in whatever way is going to benefit them. And you might think, well, then why don't they go to our realms and help them? So you can be sure that they're there, but then not everybody's mind is going to be open, and we know that. I mean, actually, we have, we have His Holiness the Dalai Lama in the world, but not everybody is a fan of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. He has many fans. There are also people who don't like him or not interested. So we have different karma. We don't see people in the same way. And so this one, which I've mentioned before, this verse, and it comes from the meeting of the Father and Son Sutra. Yeah, and I think I might mention, but it's something that Gyumikin Rinpoche Losang Jamba, I've heard him quoting this a couple of times. I can't remember the context, but it's very straightforward why he would. So you help the sentient beings, you the Buddha, you help sentient beings in the guise of Shakra and Brahma, who are great gods, and sometimes in the guise of Mara, who's like a demon, right? The one that tempted the Buddha, tried to tempt the Buddha when he was under the Bodhi tree. And this is something the world cannot comprehend. I think it's not so much, the world cannot comprehend in the sense of like can't get the idea, but when we look, we wouldn't know that this is actually the Buddha because of that, because of the guise. You wouldn't realize that. You wouldn't know that. Oops. Yeah, this one. And then this one is also very nice. I'm sure we looked at this last week, but anyway, it doesn't matter to go over it again. The guru is like the magnifying glass that harnesses the power of the sun. So like that, the guru is the one carrying out all the Buddha's activities. If the guru were an ordinary being, it would mean that the Buddhas are using an ordinary being to carry out their activities. So the guru is doing all of the Buddha's work. So the Buddhas are using the guru to help us to do their activities. So why would they use somebody ordinary when they don't need to? They would not even rely upon high-level bodhisattvas, not when they're capable of doing it themselves. There's no reason why they would get somebody else to do their work for them when they can do it themselves. They're not kind of flaky like us, just send somebody else along because you can't be bothered. And it's not like they're incapable. So why would they rely upon somebody ordinary? Yeah, so this is the actual quote from Sakya Pandita. Although the sun's rays are supremely hot, without a sunglass, they do not make fire. The blessings of the Buddhas are the same. Without a guru, they have no effect. Then this is the one, anyway, the first one. So, yeah, it's interesting because the title and what you often hear, how you often hear this one like summed up is, your guru is enlightened because Vajradhara said so. But that doesn't, taken kind of literally like that, doesn't make sense at all, because any of us could become a guru. But just becoming a guru isn't going to make you enlightened, is it? So the idea simply is that Vajradhara said, in other words, the Buddha said, in the future, when I'm gone, when I've passed away, I will still be helping. I will still be in the world, appearing in the guise of a teacher. And so anyway, there's this, there are quotes where he says that. So there's the Evajra Tantra, which says, during the time of the final era, I shall take a teacher's form. So I will appear in the form of a teacher. So you can see actually the quote itself isn't saying your guru is Buddha. It's saying, I will appear in the form of a teacher. He didn't say which one, but he did say that he would appear in that form. And Pabonka Dijiningpo states very clearly that it's not just according to the Vajrayana, because Vajra Tantra is obviously Vajrayana, that you see the not just according to the Vajrayana that you see the guru as the Buddha. So there's also a quote from that he makes from a sutra. Yeah, hear me, O Amokadarshi. When the final era has come, in other words, in later times, I shall preach as an instructor. I shall dwell in a teacher's form. And so we could, so if the reason that you apply, the reason you use for proving to yourself that your guru is not an enlightened being, which would probably be, as usual, like because of appearing to have faults, you'll be able to apply that to all of your teachers, and probably all the teachers in the world, I don't know, but anyway. And that would mean that what Vajradhara said was wrong. Maybe he was telling fibs. So the advice from Lama Zopa is, as you go through these 4 points, which is, remember, going in reverse order, that what appears to you isn't reliable, isn't always reliable. Then the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are still helping us these days. Then the guru is the agent, the one who's doing all of the enlightened beings' activities. And then the fourth one, because of what Vajradhara said. So when you meditate on each of these 4 points, and you can do that with respect to all of your teachers, then at the end of each of the 4 points, you put your mind into a state of pure devotion, pure faith, seeing the guru as an enlightened being. So like, for example, you can imagine the guru as Shakyamuni and make requests and so on. And so, yeah, I think I mentioned before, but just in case I didn't, the way that Gen Techok used to say it was, okay, so Vajradhara said that he would appear in the form of a teacher in the world in the future. And so when you look around at your teachers, then you don't know which one is Vajradhara, is an enlightened being. So you have to suspect them all. Anyway, so it's very clear that this is not so much proving that the person from their own side is an enlightened being, but training your own mind to see your teacher in the most positive light possible. So the way to relate to a teacher where you're going to get the most out of the relationship is by focusing on their qualities and not focusing on their faults. And if you think that this person is an enlightened being, you're going to be much more convinced that when they're that the faults are just appearances of faults. They just seem to have faults, and you'll find ways to understand, how that which appears to be a fault isn't necessarily a fault. In fact, could be something very positive, helpful. Okay, so now I am completely dumbfounded. Let's see. Where are we? Okay, so now, yeah, share screen. So I'm not sharing screen anymore, right? Okay, good. I don't know how that happened. I didn't say I didn't want to. Okay, so now to carry on a bit with the middle length. I don't know if anybody got it yet, or maybe you got the they sent me one, you see. I did some work on it, so they gave me a free copy. So this is it. And actually, it is pretty good. It is pretty good, actually. It's substantially better than the copy that we were using before, the one that was distributed towards the beginning of this course. Yeah, it's pretty good. So where we got to in Lama Tsongkhapa was, after Lama Tsongkhapa had explained about training in faith, seeing the Guru as enlightened being, which was on page 22. And I think I did work out. Yes, before that.
Is that page 22 of the text that we have?
22 of the text that we were using before, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So since I'm going to start using the book, and you might not all have the book, I will try to nevertheless, give you the headings so that you'll be able to work out where we are. And so I think I thought I'd work this out, but I'm not sure now. So before remembering the kindness, the way to rely in thought, the root training in faith. Oh yeah. Yes. So in addition, the above tantra says, okay, so if you are looking at that that text, so it is on page 22, sort of 2/3 of the way around down, where it says the disadvantage of conceiving faults, and it says, in addition, the above tantra says. So now I'm going to go here, and this in this book. Has anybody got it? Has anybody even got the what do you call it? The digital copy yet? Now, I don't know, but you should have been sent. I'm saying should, because I believe you have been sent a link which has a discount code on it. And if you're sort of thinking, I didn't get one, then maybe you got one and just didn't read it properly, which is what most people do. It's what I do anyway. Just read the first couple of lines and then bin it.
Venerable Steve, we got the ebook of the book that you're holding, but you're saying you're on page 22 in that book?
No, so in this book,
okay.
Now I hope, you know what it's like, sometimes the ebooks completely different page numbers. So let's just try, right? So I'm on page 38 at the top of the page. right? And so anyway, if it is different, it would be interesting. It is. Okay, good. So that's useful. The above tantra also says, apprehend your master's excellent qualities. Do not ever apprehend his or her faults. Apprehending their qualities will gain you siddhis, so you'll get realizations. Apprehending their faults will block their attainment. So this is really the main point. As I just said, actually, when you focus on the qualities, then good things happen. Your mind is going to be able to really develop. And when you focus on the faults, it disturbs your mind and you just don't get anywhere. And I'm not exactly advising you to experiment with the two possibilities, but you will find that. And I don't know how this works really, but somehow it does work. I mean, I know from my own experience, when my mind has become very negative towards my teacher, it's kind of like, I'm not even talking about angry exactly, because anger, I mean, it's not unusual that getting angry would disturb your mind and make it unhappy. But I mean, is that so in general, actually? Could you say that in general, that when you have a negative mind about somebody, it makes you feel unhappy? And when you have a positive mind about somebody, it makes you happy and things seem to go better? So it's actually a general truth, isn't it? So here, you can see why it would be even more important, because here you're talking about, I mean, like, if it's an ordinary person. So it's interesting to make the distinction, isn't it? Because, like they say, the sentient beings and the Buddhas are equally crucial in our attainment of enlightenment. So our progress on the path and finally achieving enlightenment. So then, why would we make a big fuss about the Buddhas and, put down sentient beings? Okay. So anybody around you could be an enlightened being. Anybody around you could be a bodhisattva and so forth. So it is worth keeping that in mind. But even if they're not, they're sentient beings. And so, they're vital. Looked at in one way, they're vital for your practice. Looked at in another way, they're the purpose of your practice. Right? So we do want to get into the habit of thinking in a positive way about people, which can be difficult sometimes, because you also have to be able to make judgments between whether people are making mistakes or not, whether they seem to be acting out of a pure motivation or a deluded one. So what's there's a French expression which covers this, but anyway, what it basically means is, you don't have to judge people, but you need to be aware, is what it comes down to. So being judgmental about people. So in general, you don't want to be judgmental about people, kind of like picky, negative kind of thing. There are so many reasons why you wouldn't want to do that. But in particular with, even though all the sentient beings are, vital for you to achieve enlightenment, just as important, if you're going to, be respectful and kind and good to the people who are helping you, then the sentient beings all help you to achieve enlightenment, just like the Buddhas help you to achieve enlightenment. But no matter how positive you might be towards your cat or your dog or your, the person next door who's plays their music too loud or whatever, no matter how positive you are towards them, they're not just, if they're just an ordinary sentient being, they're not going to be able to, teach you the path, show you the way along the path. I mean, not everybody can do that, right? So here, why it's particularly important is because, you know, we're talking about somebody who you've already decided, you've already discovered is somebody that can lead you on the path. So for sure, you want to always cultivate you know, a positive way of viewing that person. And so he says, you should act accordingly. Thus, if excellent qualities predominate in your guru, but you think about them in terms of the few faults they have, this will become an obstacle to your own siddhis, your own realization. Siddhis, Sanskrit word, means like siddhi, like attainment. Usually Lama Zopa translates as realization, you know. So we, you know, I mean, people sometimes say, what is a realization? I mean, basically a realization is like when your mind changes in a positive way, then there's some kind of realization, right? Something like that, anyway. Especially when it's like, I don't know, like for example, actually generating great compassion, actually generating real, genuine bodhicitta, realization of emptiness, so on, that kind of thing. It's to do with, you know, the mind transform. Even if the faults predominate, if you train in faith from the perspective of the excellent qualities, without thinking about them in terms of their flaws, this will cause the siddhis to arise. So you get the point is straightforward, isn't it? First of all, very clearly, Lama Tsongkhapa is saying is the point isn't whether your teacher is an enlightened being or not, because, you know, since here he's discussing the, you know, possibility of your teacher having maybe even more faults than qualities, which is a bit kind of strange, but anyway, maybe he's just trying to make the point. If you only focus on the qualities, then it'll work. Even if your teacher's got more qualities than faults, if you focus on the faults, it's not going to work. So that's the point. When it comes to your guru, whether their faults, the flaws are great or small, contemplate the faults of thinking about them in those terms, and repeatedly generate a mind to eliminate this and make it stop. And you can do that, you know. I mean, the mind is an amazing thing, and it can be trained. We can train our minds to think in a particular kind of way. If concepts of faults arise due to carelessness, yeah, so you haven't been careful. So somehow the idea of the teacher having faults arises. Like, for example, okay, so it could be because of you haven't been careful, or because just very strong mental afflictions arise, anger or whatever, and so forth. Apply yourself to confession and restraint. So yeah, the best way, of course, is if you have well, you know, like Vajrasattva practice with the 4 opponent powers. And if you've done, you know, if you've received Hatha Yoga, Tantra initiation, and you've done the retreat and 5 puja, then you can do self-initiation. And this is something you can actually do on a daily basis. When we do self-initiation, like occasionally, as we try to do here, you know, once a month, then it takes several hours. But if you're doing it on a daily basis, then you don't have to do that long version. There are shorter versions. It can even take, you know, like half hour, 20 minutes. So it's good to get in the habit of doing that every day. Okay, so confession and restraint. So anyway, confession and restraint. It's talking about, you know, practice the 4 opponent powers. But anyway, Vajrasattva is very powerful practice of purifying. Everybody says that. If you familiarize yourself with these antidotes accordingly, you may see that there are a few faults, but since your mind focuses on excellent qualities, it will not become an obstacle to your faith. So in other words, you know, as you train your mind, then you make less and less of the apparent faults, and you just get in the habit of relating to them better and better in terms of their qualities. So for instance, Lama Atisha had the Madhyamika view. So I mean, you know, he realized emptiness according to the Prasangika view, in fact, not just Madhyamika, but Prasangika view. Whereas his teacher Selingpa, so you've heard of Selingpa, right? Everyone's heard of Selingpa. This is the one that teacher, we talked about him earlier in the book, right? He's the one that Lama Atisha went to Indonesia to meet with to get the bodhicitta teachings. So, but anyway, and they say, you know, like, of all of his many teachers, the one that he seemed to have the most, like, the deepest veneration for was Selingpa. But Selingpa himself actually had a very much inferior understanding of reality to Lama Atisha. His view was true aspectarian Chittamantra. So I can't remember what is true aspectarian, false aspectarian means. I can't remember now, forgotten. But anyway, Chittamantra, you know, we usually say Vaibhashika, Sutrantika, Chittamantra, Majjhimika. So anyway, he was a Chittamantra. However, as Atisha discovered the general stage of the Mahayana path and especially bodhicitta by relying on him, as Atisha discovered the general stage of the Mahayana path, and especially bodhicitta relying on him, he regarded Selingpa as peerless amongst his spiritual friends, spiritual teachers. Okay, let's read a little bit more. This is very nice, actually. So this is to do with thinking about the kindness of the Guru. It's actually a very nice section. So they usually talk about respect by remembering the kindness. And it's very interesting, actually, because, okay, so the word gupa in Tibetan is usually translated as respect. I know that Rinpoche often says, you know, sort of like has some doubt, expresses doubts about this. And I think that what it comes down to is, you know, there's a big difference between respecting somebody and showing respect. You can show respect for somebody without having the slightest respect for them, right? Maybe you show them respect because you have to, because you're in the army or whatever, you know. Or maybe you just don't want to get beaten up, so you show respect or whatever, I don't know. But yeah, so respect anyway. So feeling respect for somebody, that's another thing altogether. But then it's still a bit strange. But so anyway, don't worry too much about the word respect. The main thing is whatever feeling comes up by thinking of the kindness here is being labeled respect. And you might, I mean, I tend to think that although the word respect is used, it's more to do with appreciation. You know, when you think of somebody's kindness, then you appreciate them, don't you? Appreciate their kindness. And yet it does have something to do with respect. Anyway, think about it. The main thing is anyway, to cultivate a sense of awareness of the kindness. And so in the 10 Dhammas Sutra, it says, so again, you know, typically it's always expressed as he, but I know it is easier. It does make things easier. But actually in this case, I think, you know, like if we're reading this, you can imagine, you know, like just like before, imagine your teacher in front of you, maybe in the form of Shakyamuni Buddha. So you're thinking, this is my teacher, Shakyamuni Buddha, or maybe it could even be a, you know, a picture, a photo of them. So you might want to read this like you're addressing that teacher. So in that case, you could say, you look for me who has roamed in cyclic existence for a long time. You awaken me from enduring obscuration and torpor, owing to ignorance, due to ignorance. You pull me out as I sink into the ocean of existence, ocean of samsara. You show good paths to me who has entered bad ones. Good path is a path leading to happiness. Bad one will be a path leading to suffering. You free me who has been bound in the prison of existence. You are a doctor to me who is long tormented by illness. You are the rain clouds drenching me, who has been ablaze with the fires of attachment and arrest. So I'll just say a few words about this. Some things I got from looking at what Geshe-Sopa says about this. So anyway, yeah. So Geshe-Sopa said something, so this is in volume 1 on page 135, 136 in his book, his commentary. So he says something very nice about this, actually. I mean, already, I guess, as it stands, you know, you look for me who has roamed in or has been roaming in cyclic existence for such a long time. So he says, whoever, so suppose a pet has gone missing or a child. This can happen, you know, you going around the shop when the child goes missing. It can happen quite easily, kind of. So so whoever cares about the missing pet or the child, we will be the one who searches for that pet, for that child, and tries to save them. So it's like that. We're like the lost, you know, the lost pet or the lost child that the guru has come searching for because they care for us. So you look for me who has roamed in cyclic existence for such a long time. You awaken me from the enduring obscuration and torpor. Torpor, actually it says sleep. So I don't know why he translated as torpor, sleep, going to ignorance. So anyway, the obscuration in them. So it's, you come across this idea, you know, like even in the when we look at the meaning of Sangye or Buddha, it has this idea of like having awoken from the sleep of ignorance. So ignorance is like, while you have that ignorance, it's like you're asleep. You're just not aware. So that's that ignorance, you know, it produces obscuration in the mind, and it's like it makes us asleep. So you pull me out, you waken me from that. So you waken me from that. You are awakening me from that. I think that's nice, actually. You are awakening me. What you're doing is you're awakening me. You pull me out, so I'm sinking the ocean of existence. I'm kind of like floundering. Is that the right word? Floundering in the ocean of existence, the quagmire of samsara. So you're pulling me out of that. You're showing good paths to me. So I'm on bad paths, but you're showing me good paths to happiness. You free me who has been bound in the prison of existence. So, you know, samsara is like a prison, and you've come along to free me from it. Yes, a prison which is even worse than Guantanamo. So you're a doctor to me. So I've been suffering so much, tormented by the illness of the mental afflictions and all of the pain of samsara. And you're the doctor that's come to heal me. You're the rain cloud. So this is like, you know, anyway, rain clouds. It says drenching me. Anyway, so I have been ablaze. So the way it's expressed, you know, you've drenched me. So of course, if you're ablaze with the fire of attachments, then if you get drenched, then it should put the fire out. But anyway, so it's also metaphorical, right? But another way of expressing it is like, so it's like, you're the rain clouds raining down and quelling the blazing fire of the attachment and so forth. But anyway, that's good. So maybe we'll stop there. If there's any questions, otherwise we can just stop. Or maybe I could read them next thing. It's also nice. Any questions? No. Wow. So I'll just read this out, and maybe we can read it again next week and have a little bit of explanation. So this is from the marvelous Array Sutra, the Gandhavya Sutra. So this is spoken by Sudana. And so, we can, we can read it, imagine we are Sudana, talking about our teachers. These are my spiritual friends, expounders of Dharma, exhaustively teaching the qualities of all phenomena. Not exhaustingly, exhaustively. Thoroughly teaching the conduct of bodhisattvas. With these thoughts in mind, I have come here. As they give birth to all of this, they are like my mother. They pour forth the milk of virtues, hence they are like wet nurses. They train me thoroughly in the branches of enlightenment. These spiritual friends completely turn away harm. Like doctors, they release from aging and death. Like Lord Indra, they shower rains of nectar. Like the full moon, they enhance the white qualities. Like bright sunlight, they show the way to peace. Regarding friends and foes, they are stable like mountains. Their minds as undisturbed as the ocean, as the depths of the sea, as the ocean. They give perfect support. Some say like boatmen. I think that's actually a mistake. They give perfect support like the pilot of a ship. With this in mind, I, Sudana, have come here. These bodhisattvas bring forth my understanding. They cause the enlightenment of Buddha's children. These beings, these friends of mine, are praised by the Buddha. With such virtuous thoughts, I have come here. As they save the world, they are like heroes. They have become the captains, protectors, and refuge. They are the eye bestowing happiness on me. With thoughts like these, I honor my spiritual friends. Okay, so now we'll really stop there. Okay, so let's dedicate. Just about to forget. So if you dedicate all of this, as well as all of the virtue of the past, present, and future of oneself and others, all others, including all of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, dedicating all of that, so that those sentient beings who do not yet have bodhicitta, the awakening mind, which is the source of all happiness, real happiness, for them to have that bodhicitta, to generate bodhicitta. Those who have it, never to lose it, for it never to decline, and to just keep increasing more and more. Let's also dedicate to the long lives of our teachers, especially Solon Dalai Lama, Joseph Rinpoche, and yes, at the moment, Gyumikins Rinpoche, Losing Jampa is resting, taking a rest. I think maybe he's not in the best of health, showing the aspect of not being in the best of health. So especially pray for his long life and him to be able to comfortably resume teaching. And for all of their holy wishes to be fulfilled immediately. And then, so think that I, the one who am dedicating, although there seems to be an I who's independent of causes and conditions, independent of its past, independent of parts, independent of the basis of imputation, independent of anything, seems to be completely independent. And yet such a thing could never exist, because everything is dependent. likewise the action of dedicating and what we've dedicated and what we dedicated it to. Okay, thank you so much. See you next week, I hope. Take care.
Thank you.
So much.
Stay safe and stay healthy, everybody.
Yeah, please do.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye-bye.